Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me again. Today we're going to look at the exterior of my house. And as you can see here, I got a little something to share for you right off the bat. If you've already seen some of my videos, you know about the sauna here and the shed there. But today I'm going to focus on the house itself. You've seen the interior in the past videos as well. But now I get to show you what this little 540 square foot Rambler looks like on the outside. So hope you enjoy what you see, and I think you'll learn some interesting things about it. So starting in the back here, in the back courtyard, you have already seen the paver patio that I put in. And now we're going to look at this little awning. Earlier this year, I redid the roof. So it has all new shingles on the house and the garage here. The siding is all original, and frankly, I don't like it. I don't like vinyl siding. It's a little cheaper. It doesn't look as good in my opinion, but I think that's going to be a project for another year. And it's almost guaranteed it's going to look something like, well, maybe not exactly like these outbuildings, but it'll match the aesthetic a little better. So all these projects, as you know, you have to chip away at as time and budget allow. For this little brow roof, there was nothing there before, and so I decided, why not put in something a little more attractive, something wood. Doesn't look quite as industrial and artificial. And the way I did it was I simply used 1x12s, did a similar board and batten construction as I did for the siding on the shed, except for this little roof, that works just fine. And then I tipped the ends with the same accent color as I did the doors on the inside and this side garage door as well. So now both inside and outside are tied in with this teal accent color, and I think it does a good job. Makes it a little more fun, something a little different that you don't see every day. And then for these side trim pieces here, I used, I believe it was 2x6 cedar for the top there as well. And then I just had some leftover 4x4 and smaller dimension lumber that I used to support the roof. So that's the first feature we'll look at. Since we're back here, a lot of the dirt that I had removed, so I did mention in probably the last video here that I had to remove a lot of dirt around the foundation because I had some grading issues with water getting into the basement. Basically, I dug down over here, moved a lot of that dirt up to the house, and created a slope or a grade to help the water drain away. Of course, that was before I put down this class 5 and the patio. So both of these things now raise the ground level even higher, which is even better for drainage, but it was a little bit lower on the foundation than what you see currently. I had to actually dig out so much that I had all this extra dirt. And you can imagine, slowly digging out a slope and then digging out this swale, it's going to produce a lot of extra dirt. So instead of having that hauled away and paying money for that, I decided to use that dirt for a landscape feature. That's what this mound is. And for some of my friends who know, I have moved this mound 3 or 4 times because I experimented with different places. I had it actually closer to the center of the yard before I built the shed, had to move it. This is the final resting place of all this dirt. And eventually I will add more plants to it. Right now I have some, I think those are juniper bushes and a couple smaller bushes here that are not doing so great, but hopefully they'll recover. And that mound will hopefully become a nice a nice planter, basically. Got a fire going here. So there was a lot of grading, a lot of updating I had to do just with the landscaping. And then if we come to this side, most of my water problem was in this corner, because you'll see here, once I open the gate, the front of the house goes out to the street, and that was basically the only place to drain the water. And since it wasn't graded properly, it all just kind of sat back here in this corner. So I ended up digging down. Originally I had a trench going out there, but you can see with this river rock, I had put some plastic down, landscape plastic, and then river rock over that, so that all the water that hits this now drains nicely a good 7-8 feet away from the house. And there's a little depression here between the neighbor's house and mine that allows the water to slowly work its way out this way. And so now we're in the front yard, which, if you saw the last video, is slowly being overtaken with mulch. And then I planted a lot of wildflower seeds in the front, so I don't have to do any mowing out here, which is the plan. And then hopefully these evergreens and bushes will grow nice and thick, and I'll have a nice forested front yard for the birds and other animals. We'll come down a little closer to the road so you can see some of the snow has melted, and I built some planters that I also did the same burning with till you get to the front of the house here. Shot to the back, and we'll take a look here at the front entrance, which is similar to the backyard. So here's some landscaping I did on the front patio. I just used flagstone, and this is Fond du Lac flagstone. Just got it at a local landscape center to build the front patio, and then filled in the cracks with some P-rock. These little partitions have an interesting story, which I'll get to. Here's my little mailbox post, which I just used railroad ties for, like I did in the back. So this awning was here originally. You can see the new roof on it with the gutter, but the wood was not. So I added the wood, same cedar as in the backyard. And then to the sides, to the underside of the awning and the sides, I added a little bit of character with the holes and the blue trim, or the teal trim. So it kind of creates a more inviting, homey, less artificial feeling entrance than the original, which was basically just matched the window there. And there's the patio door that you saw from the inside. These partitions now, I'll have to show pictures here. They were originally vision screens, and they went up about 8 feet, and I had basically a gazebo there, and that allowed me to keep the screens and any those window screens off, and the windows open. But of course, you see that they're cut down now because the city made me do that, since you're technically not allowed anything like that in the front. So I had to put my window screens back up and my blinds, and so I don't get to enjoy the full benefits of that big old window there, unfortunately. But I'll show you some pictures and you'll be able to see how these were constructed originally, until I got a notice from the city to take them down, which I had to go down to City Hall and settle it, because I thought it was a dumb idea that I had to take it down. But this was the compromise option, and I'm still happy with them. I will definitely keep them. They're nice for putting on plants or flowers, or if I'm going in and out of the house, putting my stuff down before I have to open the door and enter in. So a couple notes. Here's a video of the construction process for the front gazebo. And you can see I'm drilling down with a hammer drill because those posts actually were right in the spot where the old sidewalk was, and I had to drill down into it to make my holes for the posts. And so that the new patio extends beyond the old sidewalk, probably by about 5 feet or so. And that was one of the issues with the city in building the new one. Technically, I wasn't supposed to go out as far, but they allowed it. So these posts I just burned, it's just regular white pine, or I should say white wood pine 4x4s. And the burning is a natural sealant and it preserves them and keeps them safe from water damage over time. There's the poles in, and then here's the gazebo that I thought was perfectly appropriate, looked good, but I guess I had some neighbors complain and I was not able to actually build it. And later I found out there were some city ordinances, unfortunately, that meant I had to take it down. So I basically just took a chainsaw, cut it down. That picture, you can see how nicely covered my view was, and nobody could see inside. So I could always have my curtains open. But that's the final compromise option right there. So there's the front yard. Get a little sense of the landscaping here. And a little view of the garage. I replicated the beams on the front entrance on the sides of the doors as well. Sides of the garage doors. So it kind of carries that wood theme. And then there's to the backyard with the shed and some landscaping here with more river rock. And the whole point of that originally was drainage. So when I had originally regraded around the house, I had to dig around the side of the garage to channel the water out. So you can kind of tell, I think it shows up decently on the camera, that I had to dig out a swale here. And then that actually brought me below the foundation of the garage, which is just a slab. So I ended up putting rock there to back that up. And now any water that comes off the patio, if it doesn't make it into the swale in the backyard, it'll come around the side here. This is all sloped, and then hit the basically big French drain here. And I do have some corrugated piping to help the drainage get out as easily as possible. So here you see, this is the only grass strip I have since I've done the mulch in the backyard. And eventually, one day, that's hopefully going to be mostly mulch as well to eliminate mowing. And then I have a patch of grass back here that is blended into the mulch there with the leaves, but my mowing has greatly reduced. And at the same time, with the mulch, I'm regenerating the soil and creating a better environment for the plants I'm adding to things. So I see my fire's doing okay, but I'll have to tend to that here pretty soon. So there's basically the house. Here's the garage fascia that I did in cedar to match the front and back doors when I did the new roofing. So everything is coming together. It takes time, but eventually you start being able to piece things together and get a more uniform aesthetic for the outbuildings and the house itself that ties everything together. So hopefully you enjoyed this little tour of the exterior of this little Rambler. Had to get a railroad tied there, of course, just in case somebody trips and needs something to grab onto into the window well. But that's basically all I have for this. And here are some photos of some past permutations of the yard. You can see I did have different drainage routes. This was actually a photo of when I bought it. So the backyard, as you can see, has changed quite a bit. There used to be a wood patio where I now have the pavers, but I have to say the pavers are a much better fit. Took down the old shed that came with the property. The front yard is now totally grassless, as you probably heard in the video. Even this picture of the updated landscaping is a little older. I have no grass now, it's just wildflowers planted. And just a couple of pictures of random spots here that might be of interest.